So this is a pretty cool mesh that's pre-made in Blender. You just got to go into your preferences and turn it on. You can add a bolt. There's a bolt, there's nuts, there's hex, there's pan heads, there's all kinds of different shapes or whatever. Just grab one of those, and then if you only want the head of it, then all you got to do is select the row of faces that form up the threads and just delete them. I mean, it probably wouldn't really be too hard to make a screw head by myself just using one of the other shapes, but I mean, this is here, so why not use it? But once you get your threads deleted, if you don't want those, then you can highlight the middle ring there and hit F to fill it in. I have no idea what happened to my screencast keys. Like, it's not even on the side anymore. So this part here took forever. Go ahead and take your screw heads and put them on where they go. Push them through, just a little bit. We're going to end up joining these on like we do everything else with the union modifier. You just have to keep duplicating them, rotating them around so they're not exactly the same, and put them everywhere they go, which is everywhere. Somewhere in here, I got the bright idea that, oh yeah, I could just use the mirror modifier and not have to do every single screw head. That was a terrible idea. You'll see why in a second. So there you go. Just bisect it there and, cut it in half. That way I only have to do the screws on one side. When you bisect things, make sure you turn all the 0.0 whatevers to 0. That way it's nice and straight. So just cleared that off. Get rid of my excess screws that I don't really need. Then highlight all the faces here on the part that needs to be smoothed out. And then when you get them all highlighted, you subdivide them and then hit smooth vertices. It'll like smooth that all out. There were a couple spots that didn't want to subdivide because they're ingons or something. Just do it manually. Alright, it's looking good there, all nice and smooth and everything. Now I'll just use the mirror and be done, right? Not quite. Yeah, so the iris is no longer an iris. It's like a weird freaky mouth thing. I spent pretty much an entire day trying to fix that, and I did end up fixing it, but as it turns out, Hate from Save or Die actually likes it better that way, and that looks pretty cool to me too, so we ended up leaving it. I just turned that central tooth into an actual tooth. So now for the stalks, we just need a cylinder and a ball, and we join the two of them together. That'll give you a ball joint. To make the actual stalk portion, we'll just make 3 segments here of the cylinder. We'll use the after you get 3 segments you like, just duplicate them, stack them, join the faces. Grab all of the little segment things and then inset the faces. Or extrude along normals and go in, not inset, that's a different thing. Then you can use the grab tool to just kind of scoot it around until you get some crazy looking thing. Another way to do this is to use the simple deform modifier, and that'll let you move stuff around one plane, or 2 if you want. Let's make a few variants here. There are actually 9 of these stalks. I only made 4, but because you can twist them around however you want to with that ball joint, you can put them however you want. It'll look like you have more than 4 different ones. For the eyeball, we just make another sphere, another cylinder, stretch them out to where they, are kind of oval shaped. Bring up the pupil. join those together, and then we'll put some more spheres on the side to make a little hinge. Then extrude those faces there to make an eyelid. Ended up bringing it up and then rotating it to get it so it's got that hooded shape to it. Go ahead and merge all those parts into one thing. And give it a little bevel around the edge. Then I just grabbed a couple of the random faces there and extruded them out to give it some detail. The one ball got all distorted, so just grabbed a different one. To join them, you just make the faces and bridge them. Real simple. Same thing for the eye. You can set the eye the angle you want, bridge faces. It'll make a little cone to make it connect on there. Go ahead and duplicate those. I miscounted and didn't realize there were 9, so I actually only did 8 when I put these together, but you need another ball that's just a little bit bigger than your ball joint. Go ahead and bring your stalks over and measure to make sure that they actually fit properly first before you figure out what that ball size is. Once you got that, put those everywhere the stalks are going to attach and join them together and do the Boolean difference modifier to make neat little holes. It was requested that I make a hole all the way through each socket so that light could shine through there. So I'm just using some cylinders, kind of like sticking dowels in there or drill bits. Same idea, just get them how you want, and then join them together. Use the difference modifier to poke a clean hole straight through. There we go. We're also going to need a hole on the bottom for the base, but we'll get to that. So just a cylinder that got squished into a hockey puck and then a cone. Get everything nice and lined up. Figure out how you want this thing to be shaped. Then I join the cone to the cylinder and then use that new base to make a hole in the bottom of the beholder here. And then put the socks on somehow. See what it looks like. Also, when you make a peg and hole like that, you're going to want to reduce the size of your peg after you've done that, because it's not going to fit properly when you print it out. It needs to be just a little bit smaller. So now we got to chop this thing up for printing. Just use the bisect tool. You go to edit mode, highlight all, hit mesh, hit bisect, put it where you want it, and then clear inner or outer and hit the fill box, and that'll fill in the little spots for you. Then you can use your rotation tools on the side there to make it lay flat, or just leave it up to the person and user is going to print it to make it flat in their slicer. It's up to you. Same thing on the back of it. Just cut the other side of it off. I'm using Control Z to undo everything I've done when I'm cutting these in half between exporting the STLs. So then we bring it into Cura to make sure it's going to work. There are no weird lines or layers that Cura is like, no, I'm just not printing, because it does that sometimes. I actually did do that on this model. That's what I was talking about before, where I had to clean up some of the stuff inside. When you get a bunch of extra faces inside your model, Cura doesn't know what to do with it. So it'll have these huge lines, these entire layers that it won't print. So you got to make sure you clean all that stuff up. But it looks like we're good. I'm obviously not going to print it like this. I just brought everything in to see, if it was going to be good. All the parts are good. Go ahead and double check the two halves by themselves to make sure something goofy didn't happen. Those are also looking pretty good. And then you can use the layer thing to make sure that it's not going to fill in the holes that you put in there on purpose. If it is filling in the holes that you want there to be holes, it's a problem with the normals again. They're facing the wrong direction. That looks good, so it's off to the printer. You'll have to forgive the time lapse here if you want to call it that. I don't know how to set that up. I literally just stuck my camera in front of this thing and let it go. But of course, while you're watching this happen, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You can support me over on Patreon or Coffee. I've got the Etsy store with the rollers. I've got the personal website. You guys know all this already. But while this time lapse is going, let me tell you who else is involved in this. We've got Hate from Save or Die. He is going to be doing the printing. He's going to do a video on that too. Got BlustreekCustoms, Zero's Hobbies, the Creative Kobalt, Overboard DM, It's a Critical, AD&D 2nd Edition, also known as Canadian Retro. They're all going to be doing printing videos, and the links to their channels are in the description below, so make sure you go ahead and go down there, go to their channels, subscribe, give a shout out, say hi, say I sent you. Hit the little bell so you know that when they're posting their videos doing the painting of this thing. I'm, of course, going to paint my own. I'm printing mine gigantic because I want to. But there you go, guys. Of course, as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.